Hello, I'm Scott Walker, Executive Director of the Canadian Senior Artists Resource Network. CSARN was founded to assist Canada's artists in staying creative as they age. We do this in a number of ways. What you're about to see is one of them. CSARN presents a series of seminars and webinars on a variety of topics to help artists remain creative. The first took place in Toronto on October 5th of 2015 on the subject of social media for artists. Our presenter was Boyd Neal, a Senior Vice President and Digital Strategist with Hill & Knowlton. This series is sponsored by Morneau Shepell. We at CSARN are very grateful that this highly respected company believes in what we do. Here now is Boyd Neal.
So what I'm going to talk about today is, first of all, I know it'll come as a shock to you, but I'm not a youthful digital native. I'm 66 years old. I've been active on social media for about 9 years, 10 years really. I started on Facebook when Facebook started, and what I recognized at the time was, at the ripe young age of 56 or whatever, that this was a game changer for the world, for democracy, for the arts, for communication between people, for public relations, for government relations, for democracy in general. And I went about switching my career practice. At the time, I'd run the corporate communications practice at Hill & Knowlton for about 10 years before that, or 7 years before that, and that was mainly crisis and issue management. I went to our CEO and I said, we got to get into this stuff, it's a game changer. He said, yeah, I think it is, and I really like the fact that you're old, because when you walk into a CEO's office and the CEO is expecting a 22-year-old intern or 21-year-old intern or somebody that spends a lot of time in their basement in sweatpants staring at a screen, that you'll really surprise the CEO and maybe he'll take it seriously. So that's the only reason I got into it, was I happened to be old at the time but did recognize it. So what I want to talk about today is that I have said over the last 8 years I focused my practice as a consultant at H&K on social media and digital strategies. I've been a blogger for 8 years, not a particularly successful one, but an active one for 8 years anyway. And as Scott mentioned, I teach social media strategies at Ryerson and at Seneca and Humber. So I divide my time at this point between H&K and Seneca, Humber, and Ryerson. So I'm going to explain social media first, just from the perspective that you have to have on social media. Often people think I'm going to talk about the tools. I'm going to talk about Facebook. I'm going to talk about Twitter and LinkedIn, which I will. But most important to keep in mind, though, is what social media actually is. By the way, I refer to it as the social web rather than social media, because that implies that what you do on social platforms is blast stuff out. If all you do is blast stuff out, if all you do is post stuff that you want to post and you never interact with anybody, that you never talk to them, you never go to their spaces and comment and link back to yours, that kind of thing. If there's no interaction, then you won't succeed in your use of social. Many companies today still do this. They just assume that social is all about getting their message out. The most successful companies are companies that don't just push their message out, but they also listen, they also respond. So when you're thinking social media, it's good to think about it more as a place that people come together in some kind of community, both online and off, because there are a lot of communities that go offline that begin on social media. But what people want to do is they want to participate in creating and managing and sharing content through conversation. And that's critical to understand. It sounds philosophical, but as your perspective as an artist, an actor, a dancer, if all you do is post stuff about you and never interact with other people who are posting about you, or never interact with somebody who says, really nice picture, if you don't, pick up on that and say, why, thank you very much, is there something you could offer me or show me, or what's your website like, or that kind of thing. Unless you get into that kind of dialogue with people, then you'll find that you're not going to be as effective as you could be. So my blog, for example, I never ignore a comment, ever. If anyone comments, I react. I say, thank you very much for that, or you're full of shit, I'll punch you in the nose if you say that again, whatever. The point is that I interact with people. I do it on Twitter as well. I do it on Facebook. If anybody directly communicates with me, I always respond to them in some way. It gets more complicated for companies, of course, because we spend a lot of time complaining about companies, but generally speaking, people aren't vicious to people that they know on social media, unless you're a celebrity or star or politician, and probably deserve the viciousness. But anyway, so just to look at, I don't know how easy this is to see, but this is just a quick social media explanation. Twitter is the place you say, I'm now drinking coffee. LinkedIn is the place you say, I'm good at drinking coffee. So you can go through, I won't go through them all, but the idea here is you can capture in a very short, humorous way what the platforms are actually all about. This is somewhat old, but YouTube is watch me drinking coffee because it's a visual platform. So this is 3 years old. It probably doesn't include Instagram or Pinterest, for example, two platforms which are very common today and are of particular significance to people in the visual arts, for example. But it gives you some, in a humorous way, a summary of what people actually do on social media. These are the most significant social media platforms today that apply to what you are likely to do, on the assumption that you're visual artists or actors or singers or dancers, whatever. The only one I would ignore is the second one from the right, Google+, because it's going to disappear. My perspective is it's going to disappear. But this gives you some idea, and I won't run through it. I won't bore you with the data, simply to say that the reach of social sites is enormous. There are 1.2 billion people on Facebook alone. There are 300 million active users on Twitter per month. There are 300 million active users of Instagram every month, for example. So we're not talking here about something that's restricted. I've got another slide that will show that to young people, to teenagers. It's the world is active on these platforms. So people will say, oh, well, teenagers aren't on Facebook anymore. They're not on Facebook as much as they used to be. They're on Instagram. Facebook owns Instagram. So it doesn't really matter to Facebook that numbers of teens involved in that as a social platform are declining, because they've moved to one of their other platforms. They don't care. So we're talking here about a global phenomenon, a global movement that the numbers only emphasize the importance of these platforms in every walk of life, in every sector. From my perspective, for example, not from my perspective, from others as well, the Arab Spring in Egypt, no matter how badly it's turned out, would not have happened without Facebook. The reason is that while it's true that change happened because people went out on the streets, the reason they went out on the streets and were willing to die is because they saw on Facebook that their friends were going out on the street. And because their friends were going out on the street, it gave them the courage to act. The point is, it's a positive statement that you're here to learn about it, because it is the way the world is going. It is where democracy happens. It's where a connection happens. It's where friendships happen today. As unhappy as we might be about that, we have to get used to it. It's not just young people either. Seniors are on Facebook in particular. I've watched this over a number of years, watch the demographic shift. Obviously, young people, say with Facebook, are still among the top users, the 18 to 29-year-old, but 56% of people over 65 who are on the internet are on Facebook. That's an enormous number when you think about it. Now it's the method of communication between grandparents and their children and their grandchildren. A good friend of mine, his son moved to teach in Australia. They have watched their grandson grow up on Facebook. He's not that old, he's only 2, but for the first 2 years anyway. Seniors use Instagram less than other platforms, only about 6%. Seniors are less active on Twitter, and they're more active on LinkedIn. So Facebook is the biggie. And the penetration, and I don't want to spend too much more time on this, the penetration among adults, these are American numbers, is huge. 58% of people, of all Americans age 18 and up, are on Facebook. We're talking there of 100, 200 million people are on Facebook. So it's incumbent upon you, either on a personal or professional level, to figure out how do we take advantage of it. I'm going to give some suggestions, I hope. There's another reason it's important, I think, with, the arts depends to a great extent on news, on newspapers, television broadcast to reach broad audiences. Well, where do people find out today about what they should be watching, or what they should be thinking about, or what news they should be paying attention to? 30% of the 64% of people who are active on Facebook get news from Facebook. Similar numbers for Twitter, percentages, even though there are fewer people on it. So what's happening is that my kids have never read a newspaper in hard copy. They read it online, and they will read articles that are sent to them by their friends. So it's not as if they're not reading, and they're not just reading news or information in 140 character snippets on Twitter, but how they're deciding what to read about is being directed to them by friends. So a friend posts on Facebook, what a fabulous article by today, or I really can't wait to see this show, here's the article. It may be from the Globe and Mail, but neither the person sending the article nor my son receiving the article has ever picked up a copy of the Globe and Mail. The number of people who've shared or posted content that they hope other people will see or want their friends to see is really high. So even if what I'm saying by that is that even if you're wondering why it is that I should post things, whether anybody's going to see it, and besides mainstream media are most important for me in my business, people now are pointed to the articles that they want others to see using social media. So it's a pointer, it's a direction device. So even if you only want to reach the Globe and Mail or the Toronto Star or the Toronto Sun or CBC News or any show on TV, you're still going to you're still going to serve yourself well if you use social media as a place to direct people. So you see something on TV that relates to something you're doing, and you post on Twitter that people should go and look at the website where that piece of content is hosted, for example. So how can we use them? What I want to do is just go through Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, the 3 biggest ones, and the ones I think that are most important for you as artists, no matter which art you're practicing. So I've used some examples. For example, Peggy Baker. I don't know if you know Peggy Baker, but Peggy is a dancer, and in fact I just saw her in a wonderful dance in Fall for Dance North. My son and his wife have just moved, or fiance have just moved back from New York, and they went for a couple of years, and as soon as they saw it, they knew that I would like to go to it, and it was fabulous. Actually, it was so much fun. And Peggy Baker, who's 63, I think, her age is there. She looks like a 30-year-old dancing. It's amazing. Anyway, Peggy Baker has, I'll have to just go up there to read it because I can't see it on, maybe I can shrink this a little bit. No, I can't see the numbers, but she's been there. She's got about, I think, 4,000 friends on Facebook. And when you go down her news feed, it's called, you can see why she has so many connections, because she posts some lovely photography of her dancing. So if you don't have the opportunity, or she doesn't perform that frequently, if you want to get your Peggy Baker fix, then you'll want to have connected with her on Facebook so that you can go through and you can see some of the fabulous pictures. I believe that one there is from the dance that she performed at Fall for Dance last week. So Peggy Baker is a good example of somebody to look at to see how, now she's not the best. Her site is fairly perfunctory, and I'll show a couple of others because one of the things that she could be doing better is, you see the background behind her there, where the picture is of her? That background, you can put in a background photo there. So you can make it look far more attractive, as you'll see with Twitter. So it's just a blank wall. She could fill it with images that even communicate even more her character. You know, it's beneficial to use every space that Facebook gives you to communicate through this medium what your art is and how you should be viewed. The other thing, though, is that she's clearly quite active on Facebook, which is the other thing. If you start a platform like Facebook, but you don't post anything for a couple of months, you know, gaps, then people will drop off. Even though they've connected to you, your content won't be seen in their newsfeed, because Twitter's got this algorithm, it's called, where it makes decisions about which content it presents to you. And that algorithm is affected by things like how much you share, how many people like things. So you think, well, I'll post something and all of my friends will see it. In my wife's case, all three of the friends will see it. But if you've, you know, like me, I think I've got about 400 or 500 people, friends on Facebook. Unless I interact with some of their content, unless they interact with my content, then what I post won't be seen by them. Only about 10% of what my friends posts ever appears in my Facebook feed, because Facebook is making this electronic decision that that stuff isn't of interest to you because you've never interacted with it. So let me just go on. There's a few things. I hope that it's not that readable. I'll read it out. But and by artists, I mean anybody in the arts. There's about 10 things I suggest from the practical perspective about if you start a Facebook page and if you want it to focus on your business as an artist, then there's a few things to keep in mind. The first is be professional. And that's where, you know, in answer to the question at the back, I don't post pictures of family members or children, or I've posted my dog. Yeah, when I had to put my dog down, I posted a very sad picture of my dog. But generally speaking, it's a professional site, and my language is professional. I have a propensity to swear, generally speaking. I don't swear on my Facebook page. I do on Twitter, but I don't on Facebook. You have to be personable. So, you know, it's the thing that most corporations fail in doing, is recognizing that the corporate tone doesn't work, doesn't build friends, doesn't solicit likes. So be personable on your site. Make people think that you know, they'd love to talk to you in person. Make your posts like that. Make your pictures like that. Share. Sorry, I can't share. You know, I made the point about sharing regularly. If all you post is once a month, people will lose interest. They won't. Facebook's algorithm will lose interest in you, so nothing that you post will be shared. If you share every day or every couple of days something, and it can be a snippet, you don't need to be creating new content. So a lot of what I post is, read this great story this morning, you should read it too, kind of thing, and I post it. And So I haven't created anything. All I've done is reflect the fact that I've read something that I think all of the people connected to me might be interested in. If they are interested in that article and they click like, or they share it on their own page, which you can do with a button underneath it, there's a like and a share button, then Facebook is saying, whoa, that's interesting. Not only is Boyd getting attention, but his content is of interest to others. So we're going to start serving more of that content to people. That's the language that's used, by the way, is serving content. That's sort of, social media jargon, but it's commonly how people refer to it. Share images. There is all kinds of data that demonstrate that there's a 70% greater chance that somebody will like or share your content if it's a picture or a video or a graphic. People love that today, which, having been a magazine journalist for a number of years, I find it a little disappointing. Nevertheless, images are what drive attention today. So even, artists, visual artists obviously have a leg up. Photographers do. Actors do too, because they're often in performances where pictures are taken. But the more you can share pictures, the greater chance there is that people will like or share your content, and the happier Facebook will be about you. So do that, and videos are really important. People love to see videos on Facebook. With respect to other things that you should keep in mind, and I'll keep in mind the fact that I should use bold white instead of just plain white, which makes it harder to see. Interact with audiences. I made that point right from the beginning, that it isn't, your success will depend not so much on even how many images you post, but whether you interact. So one of the good things that you can do is, if you're on a friend's post and you see a piece of news that interests you, you can click share and it will go onto your site. And that share gives cred to the person who first posted it. It also boosts your interest from Facebook's perspective, because you've shared something. So share. I can't even read my own. Take great selfies. I mean, if you don't know how to upload photos, this is a bit abstract, but selfies, that is pictures of yourself as opposed, which I hate, by the way, but anyway, I'm here to tell you what Facebook says you're supposed to do to be successful. I really detest this culture of walking around like this, with your camera. But anyway, people like to see those things. In fact, the worst abomination in creation is a selfie stick. One of those sticks where you can, drive me nuts. I feel like tripping people as they're walking, Anyway, but from the point of view of attracting attention to your site, people like candid pictures as opposed to staged pictures. So that's what that's referring to, is selfies are more pictures that you take of you in a candid situation, if you like. So that's how I take it. And don't be afraid to, one of the hardest things, especially for somebody as humble as I am, is to post my awards or to say good things about myself. I don't think that's usually a problem with most artists I've met or actors, but just a reminder, there's nothing wrong with posting your awards, linking to your website, encouraging people to go and see your show. There's nothing wrong with that. The only time it's wrong is if you're not also helping other people in the same way. All right, so Twitter. Just spend a little bit of time on Twitter. Twitter, to set it up, this is Tatiana Maslany. Don't tell my wife, I'm in love with her. I think she's fabulous. But anyway, Tatiana Maslany has a fairly active, not terribly active Twitter account. I'll show you some lists of who are the most active on social platforms among actors anyway, but this is her Facebook, or Twitter page, sorry. You'll see some of the same features as on Facebook, which a lot of people don't take advantage of. So she has a lovely piece of art that is her background photo. That's the same kind of background photo you could put on your Facebook page. And then she has a picture. Doesn't have to be your picture here. In fact, on my Twitter page, I have a sketch of me, not a photograph of me, that I use on my blog as well. So you can put any kind of photo in that photo picture there, that profile picture. So it's another thing that even on Facebook, you don't have to put your photo. If you want to put a photo that better demonstrates who you are as a person or who you are as an artist or an actor, use that space to do that. Facebook will call it a profile picture, but it doesn't have to be a picture of you, which I don't even know if one of the women, there's a couple of women in that image, that little image there. I don't even know if one of them is of Titania Maslany in particular. I think it is, but it's hard to tell. But what it communicates is that she's a very fun-loving kind of person who has, what I think is probably excellent taste in art. That's what she's communicating on that page. But you can see that she has about 231,000 followers. Interestingly, she follows 837 people, and you think that's a lot, and it is for an actress who's obviously using this platform again in a professional capacity. One of the other tricks with Twitter is to ensure that there's a balance between, unless you're Titania Maslany or Vin Diesel, for example, who has 50 million people following him, unless you're somebody like that, you should try and follow as many people as you're following, because what happens sometimes is you'll see a page, Twitter account, where there are 1,500 people following the Twitter account, but the person whose Twitter account it is only following 12. And what that's saying is, you should be interested in what I'm doing. I don't give a shit about what you're doing because you're only following 12 of them. I think Titania can be forgiven for the fact that she only follows 837, but that's a lot of people. I wouldn't expect her to follow the 231,000. I have 3,000 people following me, and I follow 3,100. There are tools you can use, and I'll tell you about one that will help you if you Twitter. It's called HootSuite, and what it does is you can put your Twitter stream of news into different categories. So I don't have to watch all 3,100 people I follow. I've got a category that's social media experts, and what I've done is just moved the address of the person that's in this huge long stream. I've put it under this tab called social media experts. So depending on what I'm doing, so for example, if an event happens in the world, I follow my main news stream because I follow news outlets and that kind of thing. So I follow the news stream and see who's posting on, there were 9 people killed in Oregon, and I would watch the news feed because I'm connected to the New York Times and Huffington Post. I'd get all of the news there. If all I wanted to do is to see what the social media people are commenting on this or commenting on anything, I just go to the tab that says social media experts, and they would take everything that I've identified, out of the 3,000 people, there may be 75 people who are and that would be in that tab. So I could just go to that tab and look at those people. So no, I don't watch the whole stream all day. I go to the different tabs that I've created, and it's free. They'll help you set it up as well. You go to twitter.com and it'll do the same thing. It'll say log in or sign up, and if you haven't signed up before, you just follow the steps, and it'll walk you through in the similar way to Facebook. It'll say it'll want an email address, and it'll want you to find a username or give it a username. You don't have to call it your name. You could call it anything you like. And then you just then you've got to start finding people that you like or that you want to follow or whatever. But it'll start serving you stuff. Same way Facebook did. So Twitter will start to you'll put in your profile that you live in Toronto, that you're a visual artist, and you'll start seeing lists in the right navigation bar that says, people to follow. And you can see whether or not those people are people you want to follow. And sometimes, because you might say visual artist living in Toronto, you might find Twitter saying, oh, you might want to follow this person who turns out to be a friend of yours. They don't know that it's a friend of yours. They just know, Twitter just knows it's another visual artist in Toronto. So they're helping you build your network. So there's a few things to remember about Twitter to take full advantage of it. Again, interaction is key. Reacting to people, connecting with people is key. Be a fan of others. I mean, I made the comment about, Tatiana Maslany has 231,000 followers. Be a fan of 832, as she's done, for example. What else? Add value to discussions if something else is happening. If something is happening like Hurricane Hazel, hashtag Hurricane Hazel, throw in your own comments in there. Say how sad it is or how happy it is, that kind of thing. I mean, these are not examples related to your professional life. But the last one is make your Twitter homepage awesome, like this. Just use what space you have to make it beautiful, as Tatiana has. Some other hints are announce appearances. Post if you're an actor and you're appearing in something. Don't hesitate to post. Keep in touch with your industry. If you're an actor, and you see directors, or don't hesitate to follow people. Even if you think that they're out of your league or something like that, follow them anyway.
Don't be bitter.
Don't be bitter. A lot of people, and I'm one of them, use Twitter to bitch and complain.
Yep.
And especially when I've got bad customer service, I will frequently resort to Twitter to say, this place is horrible, don't go there. But if, from a professional, I think I can do that now because I don't care. But if you're trying to use it as to come across as professional, be personable, but don't be bitter, don't be angry, don't say, I can't stand the bad review I got. I mean, some people can do that fine. And here's just an example of the top 10 people in the world. I guess it's hard to see, but Vin Diesel is #1 in terms of people who follow him, Facebook and Twitter. Will Smith, Jackie Chan, Selena Gomez, Adam Sandler, Jason Statham, Dwayne Johnson, Megan Fox, Jennifer Lopez, and John Cena. Those are, you can tell that women are very active on following celebrities on Facebook and Twitter. But I want to make a couple of comments about LinkedIn before we close, and I'll just whip through. LinkedIn is a very important one for you because LinkedIn, and perhaps it was the place to start, I don't know, it's not quite as much fun as Facebook and Twitter, but think of LinkedIn not as a place for your resume, but rather as a platform to communicate who you are as an artist. So this is Ashley Como. I quite like her page. You can see she's used the background, same thing as in Twitter and Facebook. She uses background. She has a fabulous picture. She looks like a really nice person. She's personable. It's, it's probably a picture that she's got, that she's had staged, but regardless, it looks personable. It's the same way you enter all of the others. LinkedIn will lead you through just as Facebook and Twitter did. So you go to linkedin.com and then you put in your name. You can, by the way, you can change all of this now if you've got a LinkedIn account. There's no harm in redoing your account. So there's how to start. I won't go through all of this because it'll take too long, and I realize time is very tight. But what I want to do is just say, here's my page, and there's, once you set the page up, the thing that you do is you go to edit profile, and that allows you to change whatever you've put up there before. So don't be discouraged if you have a LinkedIn account and it isn't vibrant, it isn't interesting, it isn't exciting. You can just go to edit profile and change it all. It won't matter. Some things to remember are, it'll help you change the picture in the same way. Pick a picture, it'll help you figure out it'll tell you how your picture is going to look. It does all of that for you. You just have to answer questions. So you can put in a background photo just as you did with Facebook and LinkedIn. I haven't and should, but that's a way of demonstrating your character, your energy. One of the key things to remember, though, and this is you have a summary page, a summary underneath your, well, two things to remember. One is you don't describe yourself in your position, your role. My role is Senior Vice President, my title at H&K. My title on my LinkedIn page is Senior Digital Strategist and Social Media Educator. Now, that's not a job title. It's just I'm using it to describe me. So, if you're an actor, you don't just put Boyd Neal actor. You put in Boyd Neal, experienced character actor, especially in film and television. You could say that. You don't have to put a job title. The second thing is when it comes to describing your experience, don't put just a list of things you've done. I'm communicating my personality here. I believe the social web has changed the world, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing there that says what I've done until the second paragraph. So that's much more exciting, much more, whether it's exciting or not, that's up to you to think, or other people. But the point is, use that space to communicate who you are as a professional, not list of experiences. All of that appears down at, underneath. So that when people see that first page of you, they say this fabulous background photo, this photo of you that looks really appealing. They see a summary of they see a description of who you are, and then they see this summary that really interests them. Then underneath that, you have the opportunity to post clips. You can post clips of your performances. I post images of me giving presentations. Use the section, they'll help you do this. They'll ask you to fill in volunteer experience, fill in honors and awards, fill in organizations, do all of that stuff. One final thing is, you see where it says under my picture, share an update there, upload a photo or publish a post. Sharing an update is just like you were doing on Facebook. An update, you've seen an article, you click on it. Upload a photo is any image that interests you. And remember, I started the presentation with my description of that article I wrote about Reddit. All I did was click on publish a post. It opens up a place that you can write whatever you like, and then you publish it, and away it goes. Anyway, those are my contact information, and it's available. I'm happy to chat with people. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Boyd Neal. We hope you found this video instructive. As I said earlier, CSARN makes its seminars available online free of charge. To find out more about the Morneau Chappelle Seminar Series and to learn about our other programs, please visit our website at www.csarn.ca. I'm Scott Walker. Thank you for joining us.